hard, done a bit of panels, but I still feel awkward. And I still feel like I get the whole imposter thing, and I'm like, it's not. But I used to interview people for a job, and then I stopped being a journalist, and then it was like, it's awkward.
Welcome everyone. Today we're chatting with Claire Fitzpatrick, one of the speakers for the Logan Writers Festival. She's going to be telling us today about her horror books and her journey through life. It sounds like you've had such a varied experience in life.
Yup.
Oh my gosh, it sounds amazing. We're currently at Beanley Library and we're on their beautiful back terrace. This is a gorgeous
really
one.
nice.
It's freezing, but it's really nice. You can see the plants behind us and you can look through the glass into the library on the other side. So,
Yeah.
Claire, tell me about your books.
Which one?
All right, your first book.
Well, I self-published a book years ago, which was quite terrible actually, and I'm going to pretend that's not existent anymore. But
I actually did the same with my first 9 books. They were only about 10 to 15,000 words each. I thought they were fine with a word edit. And then I chucked them up on Amazon. I was like, why aren't I making millions of dollars and getting a movie deal? Then I looked at them again later on, about 3 years later. I'm like,
it's not good. It's not good.
No, they're coming back to me. I'm going to rewrite these. Good story, good foundation, but no.
Well,
so I totally get that.
Yeah, well, I was writing short stories for ages, and then I did ghostwriting for a bit, which really saps your energy out. It's weird. Fun fact,
You're the second person I've heard say that.
I ghostwrote an Indian spy thriller that became a movie.
Wow! Oh my goodness! Are you allowed to tell us what the title was?
It's called X Squared, and I was credited as an editor of the script, even though I ghostwrote the book that it was based on. And I got paid for it, so I can show proof and everything. But I forgot about it until recently.
Like a Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so cool!
I forgot about it. I was telling my husband, he's like, really? And I went through all my emails, I'm like, see? And he's like, what?
That's incredible!
So yeah, I did that for a bit, and I wrote stories here and there, but I had my first professional horror publication in 2015, but I had a few stories published in 2014, which it was in this UQ anthology. I wasn't actually part of UQ at the time, I was at Griffith. I wasn't I didn't even go there.
Oh no.
You didn't even go there. But it was 4 short stories, and it's called 50 Shades of Awkward.
I love it.
And I don't know if anyone knows Ron Jeremy, the porn
Oh
star.
my god.
He endorsed the book.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So I got my start in comedy writing.
Actual famous.
But then I started actually focusing on like what I wanted to do, which was horror writing. More broadly spec fic, but I'm really into body horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spec fic is speculative fiction, and that kind of incorporates any kind of fiction. So it's exactly what it is. It's the speculation of what if, and then fiction.
Yeah. So I wrote, I'm really into body horror, and I was reading a lot of Clive Barker at the time, and I love Clive Barker. He's just such an inspiration. And I remember reading, I hope this guy succeeds. I was reading this book. It was one of Clive Barker's books, and I told my uncle, by marriage, his real uncle. I was like, I've been writing, and he was like, really? And he was really reading with it. And he's like, you can't write, you never succeed. And then I wrote a story that year, and then I got published, and I felt that grudge against it.
You know what?
But I did it not out of spite, but more of, I can do this. I can write a story. I'm going to write a horror story.
Got to prove those people wrong.
And it was my first horror story, and it was published in a professional publication. It was Midnight Echo 15, which is part of it's the official magazine for the Australasian Horror Writers Association. And I did it. I know it's petty.
No.
The first thing I did was, in your face.
You know what? Yes. Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that moment. I had a couple of people tell me the classic line that authors get told. That's nice, but what's your real job?
Yep.
And then I had a bullying experience where a similar thing happened, and they were just like, no, you can't do this. If we hear you talking about this, we're going to shut you down straight away, and you need to be an acupuncturist because that's what you're good at. And I was like,
I'm good at many things.
Yeah.
I just think I don't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, no, I totally get that. And I don't think it's petty. I think it's like overcoming a nemesis.
And like, I actually saw him early in the year. 2 months ago, my grandmother passed away, and we went to a funeral. It's kind of like an impromptu kind of freak out. But he came up to me and he's like, he had a few drinks. He's like, Claire, I'm so proud of you. And I was just like,
damn straight.
I had a few drinks as well, and I would never have said this, but I'm like, remember that day when you said that? And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I remembered. It's like some petty thing. Like, we had a laugh about it, and he was like, I'm really sorry. It was just like, he was just like, you know, you're a teenager, right? You know, you always say, good for you. And I was like, I told you.
Oh, you know what? That's such a good story. There's a good ending to that story.
Yeah.
I hope that all of the authors in Logan get their naysayers in a position like that where they can just have a laugh about it at the end.
Yeah.
Prove them wrong and then laugh about it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So, what is your most recent book?
So I've had a lot of fiction, non-fiction that came out, but I guess my most recent book would have to be my collection, which was 2018. Oh my god, I think it was. So that was Metamorphosis. It was published.
If you look on the Facebook page and the Instagram page, you'll see the Metamorphosis covers or cover on those ones.
I was gonna get it out of the library, but someone borrowed it. Hold it.
That's a really good. Like we attend our interviews normally at libraries so that we can okay, if you don't have all of your books, we go and get the ones that are in the library, and it's been borrowed out.
Yeah, because I'm currently moving, and so I've got everything in boxes and everything, and I was like, can't find it. I'm like, it'll be here.
It's such a beautifully grotesque cover. I really like it. It's
Yeah.
like a moth or a butterfly coming out of the cocoon.
Yeah. Well,
but it's a woman.
It's like a woman. So
Yeah.
the artist is Greg Chapman. He's a really good friend of mine. He's amazing. If anyone wants horror covers and anything really, but he mainly does horror. Greg Chapman. For him.
Beautiful.
He's really great.
We'll have to get him to the festival.
Yes, he will go. But I had a lot of short story published by then. So since 2015, I had about 3 a year, just constant short stories. And then when I got that, I actually just kind of messaged the guy on Facebook because there were submissions that were closed, and I was like, hey, I have this manuscript, and it was like, submissions are closed, and I was like, but are they?
But are they really?
But
oh
are
my
they
God,
really?
You
And
do what I do.
And then he was like, just send it along, and then I was accepted. So even though I had many publications, so I've got about 150 publications. That's in fiction, non-fiction, poetry. But that was my first kind of. I mean, I had a lot of good reviews on my singular stories. That was my first kind of book where I actually got a lot of positive reviews, and it was the main thing that people in my writing community know me for. And when you Google me, it comes up. So I was really happy to.
Did you just say you have 150 publications?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! Holy moly!
But I write non-fiction as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of my non-fiction is about speculative fiction aspects.
Yes.
So I wrote this when Ursula Le Guin, when she passed away, I wrote a kind of memorial thing about her life for Aurealis. So yeah, I write everything for Aurealis. I write things for other places, but I have this kind of thing with the non-fiction editor, Terry. It's just this thing of unspoken thing that I'll always get published forever.
That's
So
nice.
it's really good.
That's really nice.
But yeah, if I've written something, he'll nudge me. It's just like, Claire.
When's your next piece coming out?
Pretty much.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it's kind of been if I'm not writing fiction, I'm writing non-fiction, and I write for blogs and things like that. And yeah, I kind of do both because I enjoy memoir writing and just non-fiction writing and essays and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot about speculative fiction aspects and things like that.
I
Books.
did a talk at Shayla Park High, it would have been about a month ago or something.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that came up was you've got to ask what if.
You have to.
Yeah, because that's the birth of science fiction, that's the birth of social changes, that's the change in anyone's lifestyle just as an individual. You've just got to ask what if, and then something happens.
That's why my favourite novel is Frankenstein. It's
the actual birth of science fiction. I love Mary Shelley.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually incidentally, if anyone's interested, I'm working on a non-fiction book. It's essays about Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley. And if those who don't know, like, Mary Wollstonecraft was Mary Shelley's mother. She was this one of the earliest like feminists. She was just amazing. She was just this awesome woman who was just like, F you, and she did whatever she wanted. She was just amazing, like a trailblazer, and so submissions are open. So just
very cool.
But I'm just asking people like just to write essays about Mary Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft. So that's like my overarching kind of project, and I got a scholarship for it from the Horror Writers Association, which is an American-based thing, which is really cool.
That's huge.
So yeah, I haven't used any of the money yet, but it's just there.
We can talk about that later as well.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a few competitions going around at the moment.
Yeah.
Christine Innes, the leader of the owner of the Corporate Escapists, is asking for submissions for people to show how well they can interview and write interview articles and show the story behind the story for these powerful women that have been like, no, the patriarchal corporate ideal is not okay anymore. This is how we're changing it.
But that's them, like Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley, like they were both of them were just like, I do what I want.
I love it. Mary Shelley, like, you've got to look up her biography at some stage.
Oh my god, right?
It is absolutely insane. Like, the story that she lost her virginity to her husband, who she loved fervently, on a mother's grave. And then when he died, she kept his heart in a jar, or she kept
a necklace.
A
necklace.
Just because she loved him so much and wanted him to always be close. Absolute icon, like rock star of
just amazing.
That world.
I actually got this big like banner thing that I bought from like Etsy of Mary Shelley's face, and I hung it at home, and my husband's like, no, because like I put it over a window, there's no curtain, and he's like, her face is creepy. I don't want Mary Shelley staring at me.
She does have a slightly creepy face, yes.
But
there's a lot of authors that do have a creepy face. They've just got a deadness to their eyes, and I'm like, I love your book, but wow.
But just imagine this Mary Shelley staring at you, so you walk into your house, and my husband's like, I'm really sorry.
That's one you need on the back of the toilet door, so you can't escape it. Oh, that's wicked. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He actually got me for my birthday, because I'm trying to get every single like edition special copies of Frankenstein, and he got me one of there's only 100 copies.
Yeah.
And he got me one that was. I looked up how much it was, and it was a bit expensive, and I'm like, you're poor. Did you get that? But yeah, I've got like several copies of them, like the 1818 text of the original ones, and I've got that, and it's like my homage.
Beautiful.
So
what drew you into horror? I'm not very animated today because it's just so cold.
It is very cold.
I'm just trying to keep my hands warm.
I should never give my jumper to my child.
You're a good mum. You're a good mum.
I'm regretting it.
On the way to Tai Chi.
I'm regretting it.
And I don't have anything in here. Like, I've got Woolies bags, and that's it. Just like masks everywhere.
It's all good.
So what drew you to horror?
Well, I have epilepsy, and it's crap. For anyone who understands, it can just make you feel so isolated. It's really, really sucky.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed when I was 12 because I got meningitis when I was a baby, because my parents thought it would be a good idea to take me to Tasmania soon after I was born. It's a holiday.
Okay.
I mean, not really, but really. Anyway, I was attacked by a koala, which is hilarious, and my husband always brings it up, and it's so funny. But yeah, I got like meningitis from it, and when I was 12, you can get sort of like defects and stuff of it, like with like brain defects, I guess. I don't like to use the word defect, but that's what it is.
Brain abnormalities.
Abnormalities. So
Yeah.
we go. So I got epilepsy. Well, I developed epilepsy when I was 12. But one day I was like in grade 8, and I just walked home. Couldn't remember. Didn't know what I was doing. And I walked down this main road, and I got home, and it was like 11 o'clock, and my mum was like, what are you doing? And I had like an absent seizure. Didn't know what was happening. And I got pretty depressed because I couldn't go to like the camp. I didn't make friends.
Yeah.
And so I felt
And in first year of high
isolated.
school, that's horrible.
It was really hard. and like I don't know, I started like self-harming and stuff, which is pretty shit. Okay, but took me a while. But I sat in my room and I wrote because I just felt really sad. And like I had like boyfriends through high school, but I still felt isolated. It was like I didn't have a lot of friends that I could really talk to. And so I sat in my room and I wrote. And I started writing fantasy things, and it's so funny. I couldn't wait for the 5th Harry Potter book to come out, so I wrote my own.
Oh,
I wrote my own scene.
it's gorgeous.
It was called Harry Potter and the Magic Broom. And I still have it. I have all my old books that I wrote. And then, I wrote like fantasy things, adventure things, and because I felt really isolated and just, I felt like I just couldn't do anything. Because I always wanted to be a pilot. How funny is that?
And then you go, wow.
I want to be a pilot, I want to join the army.
Oh my goodness.
Obviously that's such a different version of me now. I could not imagine me doing that, but that was what I wanted to do. And because I love military history.
It still leans a bit into the horror aspect though, because like the military is where terrible things can happen.
Yeah.
And you see terrible sights and go to countries that are in a terrible state. And so...
Well, like my dad was really into history, so I used to watch a lot of history things with him. And so I really got into military things, and I guess that goes towards like when I did my degree and that sort of thing. But I just started writing, and over time I started writing things that were a bit darker, and then I wrote this book, and this kid had like a mangled hand, so I guess that was like the first sort of body horror things. But I was like 14, 15, but I would hide it all away.
As you do as a teenager.
Yeah.
You don't want to show anyone, you don't want your parents to look at it, especially and try and analyze it.
Yeah.
It was just something that was there and you needed to get out. And you definitely don't want anyone to critique it.
Just forgot, when I was 12, I was commended in the Dorothy McKellar poetry competition. I had a poem or whatever.
Wow.
So I guess that was the first thing, and then my writing.
You'll have to send us it so you put it on Facebook.
On
the Facebook.
It's got rainbows.
Oh, nice. Wow, the contrast.
Yes.
Contrast.
And then depression.
Oh no. Oh, we can laugh about it now, but oh my gosh, in the moment, it's just horrible.
Yes. It just started, going from there, and then I think I didn't get into uni, and I was like, oh, okay, what am I doing now? And then I left home, I had issues at home, I didn't come back for 3 years, and I got into this abusive relationship.
Yeah.
But the nicest thing that this person did was he used to buy me Anne Rice books.
Oh, very nice.
And then it's a crap person, but
yeah, nice action. That one action.
He bought me
That's
Anne Rice
nice.
books, and then I started reading more horror kind of things, and then I started reading Stephen King, and obviously when I left that, and then I came home, then I started actually thinking about writing, and I'm like, okay, I've written little things here and there about the mangled hand, stuff like that. And then I was like, I really like this. Even though I don't think he realised as crappy as it was, I don't think he realised how much giving me the Anne Rice books, it gave me a form of escapism. It also introduced me to horror aspects and like romantic horror things and things like that. Some of her things are a bit iffy.
Oh yes, yes. The way she treats people that write fanfic.
But that was sort of my introduction, and then I just kind of explored other horror writers from there. But I have every single Anne Rice book.
Wonderful.
Quite a lot of books.
How many books does she have?
Many. She's
a prolific writer.
I have about 1, 2, 3 shelves of books.
Oh my gosh. It's like Stephen King in that regard. Both of them are very prolific.
Yeah. I like Stephen King. I think some of his things are really good. Like I love Misery, Dolores Claiborne, I think it is. It's like a lesser known work. I think that's really good. Like Firestarter and things like that. But I like the more romantic aspects of horror and
it sounds bad, but I do like the Hannibal Lecter series for that.
It's good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And I just like that. But I just started just picking up bits and pieces of horror things, and I read everything. So I read all different things. But those things I thought, okay, I'm feeling really depressed on epilepsy. No one can see this disability. I want to write something where people can see this horror that I am feeling.
Oh,
and so I started writing body horror.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because it's crap.
Yeah, it's crap. It's such a powerful crap that it makes you write.
Yeah, because I was just like, how can I interpret, you know, my own form of horror? And as I said, like my uncle like gave me like Clive Barker books and stuff like that, and I was like, I really like this, and I really like his body horror thing, but I want to make it my own.
Yeah.
So I started writing about people who, not all of them have epilepsy, but just some of them have like inner kind of things, and then they go through this transformation. And that's sort of how I feel with like my epilepsy.
You know what? You just made me think. One of my, I can't stand time travel. Right? Yeah. Never throw a book with time travel in it for me. I can't stand it, and one of the reasons I can't stand it is you don't know where you are or what you're doing, and you could mess up a little thing, and you're a passenger in the seat of time rather than the protagonist.
Yeah.
And if you act like the protagonist, you're normally a bit of a douchebag, and you're going to mess it up. Yeah. And I feel like epilepsy is a little bit like that. You would become a bit of a passenger in the seat of time, because if you're having those moments where suddenly everything's just gone, and then you wake up later and you're like, what happened?
Yep. But I don't have like the shaking things.
Not the what is grand mal.
Yeah, that's not actually very common. They depict that in media, but it's like the least common that you'll have. I have absent seizures, so it's just like, you know, cars running, no one's driving. Like it's and that's when I, you know, as I said, I just walked home from school, and every now and then like I would fall over. So I've had a thing. I actually got like some photos on for like an author thing, and when I came home, I like smashed my face up and I was like, I was like, that perfect makeup.
Oh no.
So bad. But yeah, I think because that helplessness that I feel, that lack of control over my own body, I transpose that into other characters, and I'm like, even though they have different kind of things, I feel that deeply, like within myself, and that is a part of who I am. So I think like a lot of my writing is very honest. I write exactly how I feel. A lot of it is memoir, like in a way, it's just me. A lot of the characters are me. People who have read my books are like, that's you.
You know what? That's fine. People kind of, they put down the self-insert character, and I don't know why. I feel like there's this, you can feel when someone's expressing their own story, and then you can feel when someone's going on a bit of an ego streak. But for you, it's expressing your story, and it's something that so many people with epilepsy need to hear. They're so underrepresented in different kinds of media, and they're represented incorrectly.
That's what I mean. Like, as I said, it's very rare for you to have the grand mal things, and every single thing, that's what they have, and they make it really terrifying. It was like, it's not actually like that. It's very depressing. Like, I only got my learners last year, and I'm 30. Yeah. And it's very, it's controlling. It controls your entire life. Yeah. So I wrote about things where people had a lack of control, like body horror, their bodies transforming and things like that. But there wasn't always happy endings, but in some things they are. Like, and some things it's more of an acceptance than a happy ending. Yeah. So I have like the horror thing if something awful happens, but it's more of a, okay, I understand this is happening. So so with me, like, it's once you get to a certain age, like with epilepsy, if you have it as a kid, it might go away. If you have it as an adult, but I've had it as a kid into adulthood, so it's not going to go away. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it is about accepting that you can't change something. Yeah. And I just that into horror.
I like that.
Grotesque and chopping off limbs.
I mean, you do you.
Yeah. But I love researching anatomy. Because in my dream world, my fantasy world, I would be a surgeon.
Yes.
That's my dream thing, and I love researching like anatomy and how the body works. And I think I started getting into that because I wanted to know how the brain works, and about like neuroscience with my epilepsy. Why do I have epilepsy? How does that affect my brain? The neurons and synapses firing correctly. Yeah. So I started getting into that, and then I started getting into like the body and skeletal system. And so I learned what arteries to chop and how to chop up people, how to dismember them correctly.
I have a history as an acupuncturist, and again, media representation, really bad. You can't paralyze someone with a single needle. You can't. Trying to get it between the vertebrae is hard enough. And that fine, tiny little needle is just going to squish a nerve out of the way or cause a sharp lightning feeling through a certain area. It's never going to cripple anyone.
But you've obviously had to learn about the body and like.
There's so many fascinating things when it comes to the body and its interconnectedness as well. So when I see body horror stuff, I'm like, oh no, that's just wrecked their entire lung meridian.
Oh no.
No, don't take off that finger. They need that for that point.
Well, it connects here.
Yeah.
And why are they having twitches? They're actually having twitches here. If they're losing this, they're losing that. Because I've researched it and I...
And then, of course, you have to do the biochemistry stuff. And so you're like, oh, okay, so in your books you can add in different kinds of herbs or poisons or chemical constituents that cause a specific effect.
Yeah.
Real life reason. This is what I get. Teenagers often think, I'm going to do something else. I don't need any of this study stuff. Everything they're teaching us is garbage. But to know about that stuff makes the rest of life more fun.
Well, I guess it goes into like my degree. I have a Bachelor of Government and International Relations. Some people are like, what? You're a writer. But that taught me about how the world.
So good.
But that taught me about how the world works, how societies work, how everything works, which is a lot of it in world building. You learn about how the world works and everything, and in your stories and your characters, and what would a town be like, and what would this be like, what are the laws?
Oh my gosh,
So you have to study things that
I would absolutely love to do this again sometime. We're out of time, but I would love to do this again sometime and have just that discussion with the world building and interrelations between different places. And I find the examples, I love a good world building session. I love to be like completely immersed in something, doesn't matter what it is, and I want to know all the fine-tuned nitty gritty bits. Like, okay, so they make them out of ceramic tiles, but where do they get the ceramic from? And is it coming from a place that's like ethically sourced? Like, are they destroying the environment to get it, or are they like, do they have some magical source? Are they are they making it? How are they making it? So,
well, just to finish, my book State of Nature, which I haven't finished yet, which I've been writing for 4 years, is about that. It has body horror themes. It has themes of I lost a parent after I lost my dad to cancer, and so it has a lot of things from a degree into that and the biomechanics, because there's a lot of body transformation. So when I eventually finish,
oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to that. How far through it are you?
Last chapter.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't finished it. I have like 2 paragraphs left. I'm like, ugh.
Oh my goodness! All right, girl, you got to get that done. I got to read that book. I need it.
Hot tip: use everything in your life when you're writing.
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah. And go out and get experiences too.
You have to write about things that you know, and also if you don't know, figure it out.
Yeah.
Not
go and
learn it.
You add weight to it when you go out and you do it. So like the feeling of flying, go skydiving.
Go do it.
Go bungee jumping. There's a wind tunnel on the Gold Coast and at Chermside.
Jump off cliffs into things.
Yes, jump off. You know what? Go and jump off a cliff into water to see what that feels like.
That's what I did.
That slap hurts.
Yes, yeah.
There's so many things, like taste different foods just for the experience of tasting them.
Well, I went over to Vietnam when I was doing my degree, and then I read a story set in Vietnam, because it was great.
Awesome.
So, got to do that. Live life.
Fantastic.
And then write horror things about how horrible your life is.
You gotta get it out. Get it out so you can smile at the rest of life.
Make dumb jokes and be utterly sarcastic.
Oh my god, yeah. Creep people out at parties. Oh, thank you so much for coming, Claire. We're going to go inside and stay nice and warm and continue a bit of an extra chat inside, I think. It's so cold. So thank you so much for joining me in the blistering winter of Queensland that's like 6 degrees.
I've been to Tasmania in winter. This is not cold.
This is winter. This is the most winter I want to get. So unless it's snowing.
I had to wear a bridesmaid dress.
No.
Because my friend said you got married.
So mean. What a mean friend.
I don't know why I was still
Oh, alright.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for listening. You will see Claire as a speaker at the Logan Writers Festival on the 10th and 11th of September, and she will also have a stall there. So if you want to chat more to her, read her books, or buy her books, then please come along to the Logan Writers Festival. Book your tickets as soon as you can, because due to COVID, we only have a limited number of spots. And there's only 30 people allowed at a time to see each talk, so you've got to make sure that you are there and ready for the talk.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next interview.
Thank you.